right, so just going to give everybody a minute to join back in. And we're back, indeed. If anybody does have any questions or comments from either of our previous sessions, feel free as people are coming in. We can chat about those, or we can just enjoy each other as we're all coming back in. Hello, hello. All right. Sita found out it's meditation time and she's coming back. Come on, sweetie. She like hears the rattling of the malas and she's like, ooh, come on, it's okay. Okay. Well, part of that, somebody asks, how is he the remover of obstacles? When's my birthday? My birthday is September 5th. Let's see. So how did that come about? Well, one of those stories is the story of the Shiva temple, which I mentioned briefly before, that he's there to place both our obstacles and remove them as well. Ooh, can you tell us the Instagram? Yes. So the Instagram for the center in Bali is alchemy.ymc Bali. So at alchemy.ymc Bali. There's nothing really up there just yet, but we're going to start posting stuff. This is the January. We're starting construction this month, so we'll have lots of stuff starting to come up there and the progress of the construction. It's being built by Ibuku, which is the company that built the Green School and the Green Village. So it's going to be built of bamboo and all open air and amazing and beautiful, and super excited about that. But to touch back on Ganesha, so he's this threshold guardian. He is the obstacle, right? So even in the origin story, he is the obstacle that is in the way of Shiva. He is that barrier between Shiva and Parvati, but he's also the ability to move out of the way of that obstacle. There's a lot of in depth to this, but part of that is permission. He needs that permission from Parvati, from life, to allow something more in, to allow that relationship to take place. It's alchemy.ymc because it stands for Yoga and Meditation Center, Bali, and no extra dot. Maybe I can put it in here. Hold on, let me try. Alchemy.ymc Bali. Can't actually see it, but I hope that works. Okay, that should work. Yes, that's the one. Okay. All right. So I don't want to get too much into the story stuff for now, because this video is all about the mantra. We're going to chant 108 rounds of the mantra and then sit for a couple of minutes together in meditation. I did go over the explanation of the words and the pronunciation in the first video, but I will, for the sake of this video being just that, go over it again. If you were with us for the first video, please indulge us for those that are just joining us for the first time. But that's what we're going to do here. So if you are joining us for the first time, awesome. So the mantra, the Mula mantra for Ganapati here is Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha. Few things about mantra in general. Some of this is repetition from earlier, but I'm going to say it anyway. So we've got these three different layers of mantra. One is the audible, the vocalized version of the mantra, which is what we'll be doing today. This is the ground floor of mantra, as it were. And anytime you're starting a new mantra practice, you want to audibilize it. A lot of people want to jump ahead and just do it internally and not make any noise. You really want to do the audible version for thousands of times before you start bringing it more internalized. Part of it is the pranayama that takes place by breathing and enunciating the words. It's also you're generating the vibration in a particular way that then is really attuning you to that, because these are mantra beings are considered to be living entities. They are beings themselves. So we're vibrating at that frequency. Now, not beings as in like some separate thing, but just aspects of reality vibrating. That is basically like a super highway to connection. All right, so we've got the audible vocalized versions of the mantra, and then you've got a more subtle version of the mantra, which it's just whispered, so it's just under your breath. Now at this point of the mantra, you can actually chant mantra on your inhale and your exhale. There's no pause. There's still a bit of a pause in that moment between the inhale and the exhale before the mantra is chanted again, but you realize it's really difficult when you're enunciating loudly to say anything on your inhale. I can go Om Ganganapataye Namaha. I can't say it that loud while breathing in, but you can try this yourself. Try whispering it in and out. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. So now you can start to get the mantra more continuous as you're enunciating it as a whisper on your inhale and your exhale, so much so that someone next to you probably won't even hear it, but you can still hear it. So now we're starting to work the mantra into a more and more subtle place, into the subtle body. And then ultimately, there's the fully internalized, inaudible mantra, which is not so much repeated internally, but attuned to. You become like an antenna to recognize and become aware of the mantra as it's vibrating everywhere all the time. These aren't mantras that you put out there as much as they're already there, and we are attuning ourselves to them. So those three different layers of the mantra. And then we've got this mantra itself. Om being a bija mantra. It is the bija of the beyond, of Turiya, of Shiva. It is the transcendent ground of being. It is the potentiality of everything. Maybe someone can type it in here, and especially if you can get the little diacritic marks on it, that would be great. I'm not sure if I can do it on my thing. I know somebody did it on the first message. But if not, then I can try to figure it out. I'm just a little new to this whole IG live thing. Om being it is the ground of all creation. So everything comes out of this. This is like the 0 point field in physics, right? In quantum physics, like everything, the whole potentiality, thank you. The whole potentiality is held in Om. It is the seed which a giant tree can grow out of. The potential for that giant tree is still in the seed. It's just in seed form. Om is the seed of everything. Gang is the seed of Ganapati. It is that seed mantra of this energy that we've been exploring all throughout the day of Ganesha. You'll see what we don't always see in transliteration is the little dot. And sometimes you'll see it below in this case, sometimes you'll see it above the M. But that M with the little dot is not actually our English M that ends in your lips. Right, it's not here, but rather it's a more of a nasally sound. The way that it's described often is the sound of bees buzzing. In the West, we say bees buzz is bzzz, but in India, they say bees buzz is more of an NG sound, like a which you can feel not only vibrating in your nasal cavity, but more subtly all the way to the crown of your head. The A in the gung as well is an sound. So in Sanskrit, your vowels I, u, ang, ang, ong, aung, ang, ahang. Right, those are the vowels of the Sanskrit alphabet. So the A here is more of an sound, like America. Who is the speaker? Go check it out. My name is Ashton. Sorry, I haven't really been announcing myself. It's not about me anyways. I'm just happy to share this stuff. But yeah, I'm Ashton Subbo. You can find me at Yoga with Ashton. Or like I said, we'll be opening up this center in Bali soon here this year. But anyways, okay. Back to the mantra. Om, Gung. Those are seed sounds. They don't really have a meaning, as it were. It is just pure vibration. So Om, Gung, these are the seeds with which everything grows out of. And then Ganapataye being this form of Ganapati, right? The Gana, the Ganas, the all the potential experiences of the universe are the gunas, right? All the potentiality of everything is the guna. So and the pati is the Lord. So we are talking about the Lord of the gunas, is Ganapati. And so we're saying Ganapataye Namaha. Namaha means I bow to, or I give reverence to. And in a dualistic sense, Ganapati is this elephant-headed deity that like sits up on Mount Kailash somewhere and helps remove obstacles, gives you success in life. You're supposed to invoke him anytime you start something, all of this, which is fine. In the non-dual sense, he is ourselves. He is nothing other than ourselves. So we are, in essence, bowing to ourselves, but we're bowing to a particular aspect of ourself that is that energy that both gets in our way. It's that giant elephant in the room, right? That gets in the way of experiencing reality as it is, because we'd rather believe our fantasies about reality and then like get upset when reality doesn't meet our fantasies of it. It's also that same energy that removes those things so that we can experience the totality of existence right here in this very moment. No matter how much yoga you've done, no matter how spiritual you think you are, no matter how much stuff you have, that it's accessible right here, right now in this moment. So we are saying, Om, Gang, I bow to that energy within me that is capable of helping me realize the divine in this very moment. It's the same power that's able to block me from experiencing reality in this moment. But we're calling in that energy to remove all of those, which is why this mantra is a great mantra to utilize at the beginning of any meditation practice, any mantra practice. It's going to allow you to really drop in to help. I think of like a windshield wiper, like a squeegee for the mind. I use this mantra often as a squeegee for the mind to get rid. I'll sit down and be like, oh man, I can't believe so-and-so said that. And oh my gosh, politics right now. And oh my gosh, COVID-19 and like all this stuff that wants to fill my head, instead of the awareness of my breath and the brilliance of this moment as it's arising. So I chant this mantra as a means to help really drop me into my experience of being. And that might be to help me then do something externalized like a puja, or more internalized like more meditation or more mantra practice, whatever it may be. It's a great mantra at the beginning of anything. If you're starting a new project, chant this mantra. If you're wanting to realize your true nature in this moment, chant this mantra. If you're about to cross over a boundary, right? We heard in the origin story, Ganesha was at that threshold. That's why he's the threshold guardian between Shiva and Shakti. He protects that threshold, but needs to be acknowledged when you're crossing over the threshold. If you don't acknowledge the elephant in the room, you have problems. So we acknowledge that threshold when we've crossed over from one state of being to the next, from one process to another. We acknowledge Ganapati. So it's another great time, if you're in transition in your life, to be chanting this mantra. Not to necessarily like get you to acquire something that you don't already have, but to help drop you into this moment as it's arising to realize your true nature. Okay, so we are going to chant it 108 times, and then we'll sit a little afterwards in silence together, which is kind of weird, like online, digitally sitting in silence, but we're going to do it anyways. Mr. Rogers used to love silence in his shows, and they're like, kids don't need silence, they need stimulation. You can't just have silence on the air. But he would do it anyways, and it's amazing. And we all could use a little more silence in our life. So we'll have a little silence. If you have a mala, you can chant along with us and move along with us. You don't need to count malas or count your beads, because you're just doing them by moving them. As I mentioned in our first video, traditionally, you're going to have it on your ring finger of your right hand. The ring finger is associated with the heart, so it's connecting us with our heart, which is considered to be the spiritual center of our being. And you can just move your thumb to move each bead over like that. And then when you get to the guru bead, which is not so ceremonious in this mala of mine, right? Then you know you've reached that 108. And also traditionally, at that point when you get here, you don't touch the guru bead. You actually flip your mala around and start going back the other way. But ultimately, if you're just like whoop and you want to keep going, do what works for you in your practice. We don't need to get, tradition is a great thing to help us create some boundaries, to find some familiarity and some ground, and then, but ultimately do what's going to work best for you. That's why there are so many different traditions out there as well, because there's that many different types of people in the world. So we will chant 108 rounds and then we'll sit quietly together. I do encourage you to chant audibly with us. If you're joining us and you're like in a subway somewhere and you're worried about like chanting out loud, I'd say do it anyways. But you know, you can always check this video later and chant along with us. You are still getting some of the benefit if you are just doing it or just hearing the mantra as it's vibrating around you, but it's most powerful if you are chanting along with us. Ah, yes, and somebody was able to write the Devanagari down here. So there's actually a number of different ways to write Sanskrit. The most common form in our modern era is Devanagari, and that is essentially what you see there. Thank you very much, Virus in Neverland, for posting that as well. So if you're just joining us, which some of you are, Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha. One thing I did forget to mention, I mentioned the first video, Ganapataye. The N in Ganapati is considered to be a retroflex, meaning you roll your tongue back. You're hitting the palate behind the mouth, not right behind the teeth, but almost like you're rolling your tongue back. Gana. So it's like back there. Ganapataye Namaha. But if you're like, I don't know what the hell, just keep chanting as you know it. You'll get it along in there eventually anyways. There's no like yoga jail if you're not chanting it perfectly. There's another, there's great stories of Shiva anyways, where, I can go into stories all day long, but where people were mispronouncing the Mrityunjaya mantra slightly, which is the mantra of immortality, of immortal life. But they were, instead of saying immortal life, they were saying death. And so people were freaking out because they were all pronouncing it wrong. And, he switched things around. He said, you know what? Don't worry about the pronunciation. The most important thing is the bhakti, is the devotion you have in this moment, the feeling in your heart. So while Sanskritists and academics will, really, really stress the pronunciation, which is important if you're in these traditions, get to know that stuff. But the most important thing is the devotion you have in your heart. One last thing. Yes, for Gung, for the bija mantra, the seed sound at the beginning is more like G-U-N-G rather than just G-A-N. So someone asks, sounds like you pronounce gun, not gum, right? So it's written gum, G-A-M with a dot, transliterated, but the actual Sanskrit is gung, which is more of that nasally sound, like a G-U-N-G. Which I think in like Kundalini, Yogi Bhajan type yoga, they use the NG spelling for things rather than the M with the dot, because that transliteration can be a little confusing at times. In 1 second, we're going to get started. Here you go ahead. Okay. All right. So I think hopefully that's it and we can get started. I do encourage you to find a nice, comfortable seat. Sit up nice and tall. Sip of water. Settle your eyes closed if they're not already closed. And while you want to sit upright, you want to make sure that you're comfortable as well. So take a moment to acknowledge and notice how you feel in your body. If you have any little wiggles you want to get out. You want to be as still as possible through your mantra practice, but if you need to move or get more comfortable, by all means, do what you got to do. Of course, encouraged to join with us, as I said before. But you can also just sit with your eyes closed, absorbing the vibration of the mantra. And if you want to wait a few times to hear it pronounced then feel free and to hear the rhythm and pace, because part of that pace is also part of the mantra. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. 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 without opening your eyes. Become aware of your breath. Notice the flow of your inhalation and exhalation. Connect to the Devadashanta, the one above the crown, which is about 3/5 distance above the top of your head. It's said to be the end of the subtle body. And as you inhale, notice the prana starting from that point, drawing all the way down to the very base of the spine. Your exhales, notice that same flow of prana moving up from the base of the spine back up to the Devadashanta and beyond. And we got the option to continue with your breath with the eyes closed, or to engage in Bhuyahasayat Pratamilanam. Inhale that immanent energy down as you open your eyes and feel the prana go to the base of the spine. Exhale as the Shakti rises back up. Close your eyes back to the transcendent beyond. Inhale for immanence. Down from the Devadashanta to the base. Exhale back up and out. Opening and closing the eyes. Or you can keep them closed if that feels better in this moment. If you are inhaling with the eyes open and exhaling with the eyes closed, see with your eyes the same awareness, the same connection that you experience of the beyond in the transcendent, in that state of Turiya with the eyes closed away from the senses, seeing it now out in front of you in everything, through the senses. Our inhale brings us into the world of the senses, the mind, embodiment. The exhale unites us back with the transcendent ground of being. And I invite you in the practice to allow a moment of pause between each breath. And that threshold between the inhale and the exhale. You don't need to hold your breath in those moments, simply notice them. That threshold is Ganesha. It is peeking behind the wizard's curtain to see reality as it is arising in this moment. Awareness, Udyamo Bhairava. Even amidst the cycles of energy and flow of movement of the senses and the mind and their stillness, is this very ground of all being, which is both immanent and transcendent. But an entry point for us is the moment of the in-between, of the threshold, of Ganesha. As we move from one state, eyes open and the senses, to another state, eyes closed and the beyond. That gap is that space where Ganesha sneaks in, where we can knock ourselves out of our obstacles to be with reality. Seeing both the open-eyed, awake Jagrat state is the same as the state of the beyond, of Turiya, eyes closed, away from the senses. The state's no different. That Turiya pervades all states. Which means it's there in your life as a bookkeeper, as a nurse, as a teacher, a banker, whatever it is that you do in life. That is the divine expressing itself as that. You don't need to run off to the Himalayas to experience that. You don't need to spend every waking hour in meditation to find that, unless you do. That it's here and accessible always, all the time, in every moment. If you have the courage to step into that. And there you'll see Ganapati with his Abhaya Mudra. No fear, there's nothing to fear to move into life. The mind is scared because the mind says, no, you can't do that. You need to do this work first. You need to do that. But if we have that courage and we're willing to break our tusk, then here we are, in the moment, together, as one. And that's Ganapati. You can eventually relax the attention into the breath and through Sushumna, the central channel. Let your breath be natural and relaxed. Take a moment to simply receive the universe through the senses, not as separate things, but as one united experience of being, shared with all other beings. But you get the joy of experiencing it through your lens. Okay, well, that's it for now. I'll be back at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to share the story of Ganesha and Murugan, his brother, and their race around the world. And then perhaps share another mantra session, a little bit of meditation perhaps. I hope you all enjoyed the chanting session and the meditation. Hopefully you're here for some of the earlier stories as well, and I hope you'll join us for the later stories too. I will stay on just like before the last couple minutes here if there are any questions mantra related. If not, maybe we can save them for the later session, or feel free to PM me on my own account at Yoga with Ashton, and I'm happy to continue the conversation there. You're most welcome. Yay, Carrie, nice to see you. You're all most welcome. I do teach, yes. I teach locally here in California. Of course, we're in lockdown right now, so no public classes. I do teach some asana-based classes. There is mantra and meditation in all of them as well. Online, one through the yogadive.com, which is a subscription. It's a local studio that I teach at here that offers a flat rate for all their classes. They have one class a day from all the teachers, and I teach a live class on Mondays at 9:30 Pacific time for that. And then I also teach for another local studio here a live online class on Tuesday mornings at 9:30, which you can connect. That's called yogareclaimed.com. The first one is theyogadive.com. The second is yogareclaimed.com. You can find me with weekly classes on that. My family and I are moving to Bali later this year. We are opening up the Alchemy Yoga and Meditation Center in Ubud, where we will be opening up a tantric yoga school, which we will be teaching these types of wonderful practices and everything else there. So if you ever want to come to Bali, come see us there. We'll also have an online component to that as well. So no matter where you are in the world, whether you can travel or not, you can connect with us that way. Anugrahitosmi. Thank you for blessing me. And I hope to see you all later this evening as well. And definitely feel free to reach out any more questions, any other things going on. Thanks, everybody. Yay, I'm glad. Bye for now.